Thank you very much. My name is Troy Dawson. I'm the Alternative Images SIG Chair. For Alternative Images, we make sort of what this thing says. We make alternative images for CentOS Stream. Majority of ours is different desktops on live images, being able to install them by default. Whenever possible, and thus far we've been able to do that. We make these images on the CentOS infrastructure, so that there's none of this, hey, I built it on my desktop or server and just uploaded it. And we've been around for a couple of years. It was slow starting, but this past year we've actually been doing pretty good. This year we're on our fourth quarterly update. We had that in beginning of October. We've got all the major desktops that you can put on CentOS Stream. These are outside of GNOME. These are all from Apple. Now this started just with this last update. We have a CentOS Stream 9 WSL. That's great. I don't have the thing right in front of me. Windows, blah, blah, blah. I really should know what the WSL stands for. It's on my other talk. Anyway, for those that are wondering, yes, we do have some CentOS Stream 10 images. They're in our testing repo, which you might have to search a bit to find. We haven't tried publishing them, first because CentOS Stream 10 is not officially released, and second because the installer doesn't work. It just crashes. So those are still in testing. So what do they look like? They look like what you would expect. For those of you who are wondering, the first part of this talk is from my Fedora or Flock thing, so that's why you might think this looks a little familiar. Cinnamon, those of you Cinnamon lovers, it looks really nice on Cinnamon. GNOME Live, and as I said in the other talk, these all have different backgrounds, and that is a feature so that you can know which ones are the best. Hey, this one, I really like that background. That must be a really good desktop. KDE Live looks like that. I always call it mate. I know it's mate, so we'll say, and if I said mate wrong, I apologize. Mate is pretty good too. That's why it's got a really nice background. And XFCE, it's got the coolest background of all. But we also have our Max Live. So this has every desktop that's in Apple and RHEL. This is for 9, this one. And oh, that's an old screenshot. I thought I fixed the GNOME stuff so that GNOME isn't duplicated. I might not have. But we're getting rid of all the GNOME instances. It's a simple fix. And we won't go there. We're fixing it. It won't say GNOME all over the place. This is what I tend to use the most, actually, is my minimum live instance. This has no desktop. It boots you straight into a console as live user. The reason I use this is because most of the time I am just putting this on so that I can boot up and SSH into the machine. So I boot this thing up, turn on SSH, but you can install from it. And then this is our new one. Oh, that doesn't turn out as good. I'll have to change the background. This is actually a WSL image running on a Windows 10 machine. That's why I kept the borders there. I think you can see the borders around there, because just to show you that is a Windows command prompt. See, there's the little command icon there. It's on my Windows machine, which is called Purple Power. It is not a Power PC, sorry. But so we have CentOS Stream 9 running on a Windows machine, and that's our latest image that we've done. So what is our future? Persistent media. We're still trying to get persistent media working. We're still working on getting raw images for ARC64. Once we get the raw images for ARC64 going, it would be really nice, but we'll have to see about doing this, getting them working on Raspberry Pis, just because that's what everybody wants if they're doing ARC64s. They want it working on their Pi. We'll give it a shot, but first we need to get the raw images working. I do see a hand up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, if this is something that you want to be able to do, we could talk about maybe extending the hyperscale kernel to have the Raspberry Pi hardware enablement, because right now, like, if you use the stock kernel, you're just not going to have the drivers and stuff. But, like, if this is something that you want to have, we can certainly discuss this. And if someone wants to be regularly testing and verifying that things work, we can extend the ARM, the hyperscale ARM kernel to include Raspberry Pi stuff as needed.
Okay, we'll have to work. Well, you're on both SIGs, but yep. The first step, though, is to get the raw images working. I tried it once. It didn't work. And I've had so much other stuff going on that I haven't been able to do it again. But thank you, Neil, for offering that. We will, when we come there, we'll work with the hyperscale SIG to get that going. So the name of this talk says alternative uses for it. So we're going to have a demo, and I'll explain this demo in my video. So I'm going to stop sharing this and we'll start sharing the video, because this demo takes a long time. You guys don't want to sit here for a couple hours. So let's watch the video instead. Present something else. Oh, can I just go from one to the other? Maybe I can. Let's try that.
Yes, you can.
With audio. Okay. Cool. And there I am. That's a handsome bloke there. Oh, wait. I got to push play in that tab. Here we go. Hello, welcome to the demo of the full disk backup using a CentOS live image. When we're talking about a full disk backup, we're talking about a disk snapshot, not the data, but the whole disk in one go. I use this often when I'm... Quick question, are you guys seeing or hearing the video play?
We see it and hear it. I do, at least.
I do too.
That's weird because I don't on my screen. But if it is, then I will push play again and off we go. Getting new machines that have Windows on them. And, you know, the first thing I'm going to do is put Linux on them. But if in the future there's some reason I want Windows on them, I usually take this snapshot. So let's get to it. Doing a quick, what are you going to need before? I have a server off in another room. It's connected through the network, a local network, so it should be fairly fast. I have a Linux Live USB. We will be using the KDE CentOS Stream 9 live image. After I get started on there, I'm going to SSH into the machine. I am going to use this optional thing because you'll see it's not convenient for me to type on it with where the camera is, and also it's easier for me to cut and paste the commands onto there. So let's get to it. As you can see on this machine, we've got our little USB there. Let's boot it up. It is set up already, so it will automatically boot off this live USB. Let's get started. Now, the first thing I'm going to want to do on my live CD is turn on SSHD. Why? Because I'm going to, I'm going to SSH in here because this isn't the best view. I'm showing this just so that you can see that this is a live CD. Okay, now let's SSH in as live user. Yes, we're there. We're going to want super user for this. The first thing we want to do when we're on here is make sure we have fuse SSH FS. Do our fuse. We have several fuses, but not fuse SSH FS. It's not usually on the live CDs. Maybe in the future I'll have it, but we can't have everything on the live CD. So let's install it. SSHFS. First, in our things, we're going to make directory where we're going to mount the server. We'll call it mount serve. We're going to cut and paste our commands. Serve personal backup. We're going to do it mount serve. The options, allow other, and all this are on my slides. I did it particularly. I'm not telling you what this password is. So now we see that we have this mounted on mount serve. And we already have the directory we want. Mount serve. In my presentation, I have Bubba, but we are doing Surface. Surface. We can see that I already did back this up. This was originally a Windows Microsoft Surface. Every once in a while, I do want to test it, make sure windows are there. But for this test, we're going to back up what we currently have on there, which is a Linux system, and that's okay. This way, after my demo, I can go back to the original thing. So what do we have to do to back it up? So we're going to be using the DD and piping it through gzip and then outputting it to file. So in our case, you want to know what disks we are. We got cat partitions. There's lots of ways to do it. But this is our main one. So this is a 500 gig disk. Might take a little bit. This is the disk. We don't care about the partitions. We're doing the entire disk. STA, that's our USB thing. So we're going to DD. The input file is dev NVMe01. Now we're going to pipe it through gzip, and we're going to give it the -9 option because we really want it compressed. This is 500 gig. Let's compress it. Now, it might take a little while, but this is an i7. It's got plenty of memory. It's not going to be too bad. Now, where do we want to not pipe? Where do we want to direct it? We want to go mount surface and give it a name. So Surface, it currently has Linux on it. 2024 dash, it's November. And do image.gz. And that is really more for my information. So I know that this is an image and GZ is Well, it's gzip. That's what we used. And off we go. There's one problem with this, and that is we have no idea how long it's going to take. Because we're doing the pipe, we don't want that. We could do a DD with progress, but then that would get gzipped in. It would just mess things up. For me, the easiest way to look at it, make sure it's working and all that, is to SSH into the machine. So in this case, I already have Kerberos set up, so we got a mini. Sir, backup, personal, what were we? Surface. So we're at 598 things. One thing you might want to think about with your live CDs, because this is going to take a little while. Your live CDs want to turn themselves off to save energy. Make sure you turn that off. And it has happened to me. The live CDs have turned itself off, and then it sort of breaks everything. Okay, looks like everything's done. I forgot to do a date before I started, but it took approximately an hour. If we look at this other screen where I was on the server looking for the size, looks like it ended up being 17 gig after that, roughly an hour. Again, this is a 500 gig disk, and evidently it's not that big, or not that full. I said 17. This is a 500 gig disk, and it compressed all the way down to 17. If we look at it compared to a Windows machine, this is my Windows when I first got the machine was 23 gigs full versus 17 gigs of Linux on this machine. So that's all great and all everything, but that was saving off of our Linux machine. Now let's say I need this machine back to be Windows. I'm going to give it to a friend. I'm going to donate it, whatever the reason is. Usually it's because I want to run a test on the Windows side. Let's see what it's like putting it back. So we do something very similar, but we're going to be doing it backwards. We're going to use zcat to extract the file. We're going to put Windows on this thing. So I originally called it original disk. Let's make it a good name. This Surface Windows 2023 October. There we are. So from our other one, we're going to zcat that file. So on this machine, we have it. Let's just show again. We have our server mounted on mount serve. So we're going to zcat mount serve. This is my Surface, the Surface Windows in 2003. Now, we're basically going to pipe that into a DD. So DD output file equals the same thing, dev and yeah, that disk. And off we go. Again, just like the other ones. Well, this one we actually could have done progress, but we're going to do it empty. so we don't get to actually see the progress. Sorry about that. And we're going to fade to black and come back when we're done. Okay, looks like it's finally finished. So that took about an hour and a half. But let's see what happened to the thing. So we need to log out. Okay, so let's shut this down and reboot. I'm going to do a shutdown instead of a reboot so that I can remove the USB. And there we have it. We are booted back into Windows. There I am. And there we have it. That is how to do a full disk backup using the CentOS Stream Alternative Linux Live Images. Ta-da! Okay, I gotta change back to the other one. Bear with me for just 1 second. There we are. Thank you. Okay. The next demo is CentOS on Windows, but that is going to take a full 20 minutes, so I have a whole different talk for that. And there we have it. Do we have any questions and answers? I didn't look. Oh, I think we do. Okay. I recommend CloseZilla for such tasks. Used it for years, and I can say it just works great, blazingly fast, and absolutely reliable. It never lets me down. Does CloseZilla, isn't that just doing the, oops, let me stop presenting. Isn't CloneZilla just doing the data on the machine? Or, because that's what I use CloneZilla for. No, CloneZilla, so CloneZilla does the same thing. Wow, cool. Well, I still do it this way. But Mike, go for it.
Yeah, I had one previous question, like when can we get alt images for CentOS 10? Because I want to try the WSL one.
Do you care if the installer works?
Well, it's WSL, so like not really.
Oh, you mean for WSL?
Yes.
Ah, I was waiting until 10 was actually released, but WSL is actually already in the testing thing. If you look on my slides are actually in my web page. If I, I'll put the link in the chat channel, that CentOS on that other matrix one.
Sure.
I'll put the link to my slides. I'll put the link to the alt images, because I actually made one today, or over the weekend at some point, a 10 WSL image that I'm going to be using for my demo, for my WSL demo. I will do that. It's sort of hard for me to do both.
Of course.
But regular alt images for CS10A, I'm going to wait until they're ready. But they also are in testing right now. And there's only GNOME and minimum for the regular alt images. This is another question that was on there. That's why I'm answering that. But they're currently in testing. I I think I have the ones. That's right. I did them all over the weekend. So last week. So the images that are up there are right before the mass rebuild. And then we'll wait till the release and I will put up some other ones, but I'm probably not going to officially release them until we get the installer fixed. And maybe the installer is fixed by the time we do this next build. I don't know. So is there any other questions? Windows Subsystem Linux. Thank you. I don't know why it's so hard for me to remember that. So yes, Windows Subsystem Linux. Thank you, Clonezilla. I don't use Clonezilla obviously, but anyway, that is one way to use alternative images. I think I have a few minutes. Any other questions? I don't see any more. Thank you very much, and I'll turn the time back over to Sean.